So today for Know Your Platform, what I thought we would do is, I want that one. Typically, I come in with an idea of what we'll talk about, but I've been getting a lot of questions, and we get a lot of questions during the various different Wednesday webcasts we've done. So I thought let's do a pure out-and-out Q&A session. You got any questions around how the online share trading platform, or alternatively the Viewpoint platform works? Drop them in the Q&A box. Let's see if I can answer all those questions. I'm parking WebTrader because I want to get someone like an Adishan in, Adishan Naidu, who knows that platform way better than I ever will. So I'll wait for one day when we can get Adishan. And ASI is suitably simple, and there's videos on the YouTube channel around ASI. So if you've got questions, drop them in the Q&A. Couple coming in already. The first one I had, in fact, David, let's take yours for now. You're saying, demonstrate how to set up a chart that opens automatically when you click onto a share in a watch list. So you want a watch list. So I've got a watch list. Those are indices, but nonetheless. But so if I'm in that watch list down at the bottom down here, your tools are limited. All I can do is add to watch list. But it's already in a watch list, so I would be adding it to a different watch list, of course. My list of all my watch lists is here, and you can see I've got, we've been through all of this. I've got a whole range of different watch lists. As soon as we enter a share, let me move that out of the way, and let me maximize that. As soon as we enter a share, we've got all our different options, which is to trade, to price chart, price history, which is the Excel download of history. It'll give you a page you can then download in CSV, create your alert, any news on that particular share, and company profile in terms, and then research reports, if there are research reports. So there's no research report on Arsenal Metal, but there is one on Anglo. And if I simply click on the price chart there, that then takes me into it, loads up the price chart. What's happened here is you will note that I've now got that is a stochastic down at the bottom, along with the moving averages that are there. What you can do is set up a chart in terms of there we go, the ROM DMI, which is basically an ADX stochastic, MFI, which is money flow index, rate of change, and then relative strength index, and of course the MACD. You can also, up on the top right over here, change your moving averages. You can have 3. You've got simple, exponential, and weighted. You can choose which 3 you want and the period that you want it for. If you then go and save, when you come back in, your charts will exist as they sit right now. So they will come in and they will be with this data as you've got it here. However, it saves universally. And what I mean by that is that what you can't do is save a different chart for a different stock. For example, you look at Sasol and you have certain indicators, and then you go look at Anglo American and you have different indicators. And what it also doesn't do is save any trend lines, because it basically defaults that chart as it comes in. So you can have sort of a standard setup in terms of what you're looking at here. David, if I got you right, cool. If not, come back to me and let me know. Broker trustee free, what is the 1% plus VAT on JST account? William, what I think, there we go. William, what I think you're referring to is, and I didn't think it was on the JSET accounts, is that Standard Bank earns interest and they take a fee on that interest. And that is actually, hold on, I think I know what you're talking about, and I think I don't know what the answer is. William, I'm going to come back to that one in a bit, because I think this is not the interest we're earning. This is just a fee that sits there, or is it the interest? I'll come back to that one. How do I set a stop in Viewpoint? Is it possible to make it trail? At this point in Viewpoint, you cannot set a stop loss sitting in Viewpoint. You can place an order. The conditional orders do enable stop loss, but the conditional orders which were in beta testing, with Standard Bank stepping back on their beta testing, are no longer in beta testing. So we simply can't do a trailing in Viewpoint, or a stop loss of any type, whether it be fixed or trailing. Michael's asking, how do I transfer my portfolio to the Iris viewpoint? So you've got Iris. Let me go to my workspace, which is that one there. You would set up a tab, such as this one I've got here, and let's use this block. No, that block down at the bottom isn't working. And what I'm going to do is you can do it from your tab on the right over there, but I'm going to pop my portfolio into here. So you simply go, and in this case, I'm going to replace a widget. Of course, if you didn't have a widget, you would add a widget. So you go replace widget, and you look at what's available here, and what isn't available is not the portfolio. So you click on select from library. You click portfolio, you click OK, and it didn't do anything for me. Let me completely clean this. Remove widget. Bear with me a moment here. Let me get rid of all these different widgets. Let me uncarve. Let me make everything nice and clean again. Remove widget. Remove widget. Let me start from scratch by saying add a widget. Let's add a portfolio widget. And select OK. Brings up a screen with nothing in it. And then what you do is you'll find the drop down. And then from there, you would go and find your particular, so let me take, that's an equity position. It's only sitting with one particular position. It's got a crash put in it, which has been crashed on because, well, market is going up. You can look at the percentages. You can look at them in terms of just a line, or you can look at them in terms of bid and offer at the same time. So it's just one of the widgets. But when you come to portfolio, nearly every time it's going to be blank, and you're going to have to go find that drop down. And you can't do a consolidated view. I've got multiple different portfolios here. That one, I think, has just got cash in it. Yeah, it's just got cash in it, nothing else in it. I can't get a consolidated view. It is per portfolio. And of course, they're equity and futures, depending on which in particular it might be. William, can you set a trigger on WebTrader? I think you can set triggers on WebTrader, but I'm going to park that for Dishan. He's the smart one in that. How do you add a protect profit in a trade? Andres, if I'm understanding you correct, so protect profit is distinct from a stop loss. So protect profit is basically I want to sell at a certain point, and what you would then do is simply place the sell order. What you can't do is say, I don't know, if it goes 5% below the high or something like that. Now, when we start to get conditional orders, you would be able to. Conditional orders let you say, if this, then that. So you could say, if the share falls 10% from the weekly high, sell the position. As things stand right now, if you want to do a protect profit, you've got to go simply put a sell in, and you can do that. For example, if I go to my crash put, and I mentioned this last time, top SPZ, that R1, 100,000 SPZs, that's me. And that's not a protect profit. That's so if the market completely crashes and I'm offline, I will get traded. Now that needs a lot of market crashing. That price is somewhat ridiculous, but in essence, you've got to put it into the market. What then happens is when it is now in the market and sitting there for sale, when you want to sell it, you've got to go cancel that order first. Because as far as OST is concerned, you've already got a sell order, and I don't want to then sell it twice. William, it's a fee which changes as the cash balance changes. You can see the cost and the fee structure. Yeah, so that's what I thought about. I was going to go check it, but you've answered the question for me. In essence, what happens is online share trading they receive interest on your money, and they take a turn on that interest for managing it, and that is the fee on it. So you receive 6% interest, but online share trading takes 1% of it, or whatever the case may be, and therefore you only end up with 5% of the interest. The interest amounts which they show are net of that. In other words, deducting it, they do charge VAT on it. Johan, one of your accounts is showing in the portfolio but doesn't pull through if I select it. What I suspect the problem maybe is you will notice that and look at that. Look at those two there. So I've got the 457.EQT, 569.EQT, and 457.FUT. The FUT is a futures one. So if you've got futures or CFDs in the account, you want to pick the future. And if you've got equity or warrants in the account, or ETFs, ETNs, you want to pick the EQT, in other words, the equity. Yeah, and I think that is the problem. Otherwise, there's a more structural problem sitting there. Okay, Andrew, so I got you wrong there. No, if you're in profit and it starts losing, can you protect it? I mean, you can, in essence, put a trailing stop on. And let me show you how a trailing stop would work. Of course, I'm in my watch list page. That's why. So let me put a trailing stop on. I've got that top SPZ there. I would click the little lightning bolt, which is to set up alerts or stop losses, and I can do either an alert or a stop loss. So at the top up here, it says stop loss or price alert. The one will send you, the alert will send you an email or SMS, or both. You get to choose. The other one is the stop loss, which will exit you off, or rephrase that, send the order to market. Then do you want it fixed or do you want it trailing? What you're talking here, Andreas, is you ultimately want it trailing. In other words, as it's going in your favor, that stop loss moves up behind you. So that you then select that, and then you say to yourself, well, how much do you want it to trail by? Do you want it to trail by a percentage, or do you want it to trail by rands and cents? And I'm going to say, let's trail by 10 cents. So as the last trade in this case is 17 cents, which means that the trigger will be at 7 cents. But let's say this warrant then went to 50 cents, the trigger would then still be 10 cents below it, and that trigger would then be at 40 cents. So it goes to 50, it then falls to 40, and at that point, it would then generate an order to market. That's the important point. It will, at this point, send that order to market for 40-cent sale, but maybe it's actually fallen and it's trading at 39. So you can say decrease trigger by this amount, and I say an extra 3 cents. In other words, it triggers at 40, but it sends a limit order to sell at 37. If there is a buyer at 38, 39, or 40 cents, or any other price higher than that, you will get that higher price. Make no mistake of that. And then it says how many, and you can either put a quantity or you can put a percentage. You say trail by 100, sell 100% of the holding. You create the trigger. It asks you to confirm. And I can then go in and see it on the trigger page. Stop loss and alerts. And there sits my stop loss. I can audit it, I can cancel it, I can edit it, I can get details of it. What's very important is that the SMS features up here, and make sure that so I've got it to SMS me on failing, expiring, triggering, or executing. And what I mean, so failing is when it goes to market or tries to trigger, but you don't own the underlying asset anymore. You have already sold it. Trigger is important. They've sent it to market. Execution is hugely important because that means that they've actually sold the warrant. Sending it to market does not guarantee a sale. And I then cancel it, and the trigger is then gone. Yep, trigger status is cancelled. That will update in real time as the share price is changing. Important, a lot of folks will say, oh, but can the market see this? Nope. This sits in a database, probably a SQL database. And basically, that database says to the price engine, I care about prices on SP top Z, on top SPZ. And as that we get a price change, it sends it, and as it finds a price that matches, i.e. triggers the stop loss, it then sends that stop loss to market. Gillian, you find viewpoint user unfriendly. Tried a couple of times. I'm very comfortable with OST. Is there any real reason to change? No, Gillian, not at all. I mean, particularly if you are a day trader or even a technical trader, then viewpoint has some benefits, particularly for day trading. If you're just a fundamental trader, or if frankly you looked at viewpoint and you thought to yourself, don't like it, then there's no particular need to be using it, particularly for longer term and sort of more fundamental based traders. It's nice, but I mean, I really like it, but a lot of folks don't. And if you're not liking it, there is no real reason for that change. It's a value add. It's not a case of that the online share trading website will one day close down and it'll only be Viewpoint. There will always be the online share trading website and there'll always be Viewpoint. And online share trading website remains as the core website. Viewpoint is an add-on. Richard, I'll come back to yours in a moment. I will do. It's a fee that is charged on the interest deductible for tax purposes. So there's a question, Rob. I honestly don't know the answer. So surely, actually, yeah. So how does in the tax form we get at the end of the year, are they showing us gross or net interest? If they're showing us gross interest, then we want to deduct that. If they're showing us net, then that is fine. We're gonna have to go check a tax form and one of the IT, what would it be IT3? Is it the C that is interest? Because certainly otherwise you're being taxed on money that you didn't actually receive, and online share trading should therefore not be putting that into the tax form. I'm going to check up on that and follow that one up. Give me a sec. Let me make a note. Cool. Rob, I'll follow that up with OST. Tebogo, can you have multiple stop losses on the same stock? You actually can. Now, if you're selling 100% of your shares, it should, in theory, trigger and go with the first one. And understand that when it triggers and goes to market, is your shares are now in market. So when it triggers the second time, it would fail. However, if you put in, you said to only sell 25% of the shares that you hold, yeah, you could have 4 stop losses on a single stock, and they would each trigger at different levels and different points. So Tebogo, your answer to that is yes. Alex, can you see open positions in Viewpoint? Yeah, so that would be the portfolio. Now, if you do a trade, if you exit a position today, it'll often still reflect, but as you bring new positions in, they reflect, and certainly I've used it for Aussie trading, and Aussie was broken this morning, up, Aussie is back, good thing. When I enter Aussie trades, I can see them in my portfolio, and I've got my order pad. That's my order pad, which then shows the orders that have gone into the market, but your portfolio will reflect them as well. So if I go to that screen there and I pull in an account with something in it, I'm seeing the open positions, and that would, if this is an equity, if I pulled in the futures, I would see CFDs or futures, be they single stock, currency, or commodity futures. Maketsi, how do I set a target value on OST? In other words, if you're looking to take profit, you literally just go put on sale. So what I've done here with this warrant in particular, is I went and I did this a while ago. And remember, trades are valid for 30 days. I just went and put it on market. So current position is 100,000. I said, please sell me. I put in the 100,000. I said the price I wanted to sell it at. I put in a R1 price to sell it at, and it then goes into market. And in the case of top SPZ, well, you can't see it there because we don't have enough market depth. But here we've got market depth, and you can see my order sitting there at R1 on the sell side. So absolutely you can, and it stays in that order will be valid for 1 day or 30 days, depending what you selected. Landy, access to use Viewpoint automatically if we have OST, or is there a separate fee? Do both platforms charge the same brokerage fee? Yeah, your brokerage transaction fee remains the same regardless. Viewpoint, if you want it on the menu, you would go to Viewpoint on the menu over there. I've got a cookie issue right now, so it's not happy. I'm using Brave. Brave is suddenly, I was singing its praises just 2 weeks ago, and the last day or two, it's been giving me some bugs. If you take the delayed price, Yolandi, it is free. There is no extra charge. And then the data that you will see will be 15 minutes delayed. If you then take live prices, there is a fee. Standard Bank is currently waiving that fee until the end of June. It's 175, 195, depending on depth. But if you take the delayed price, it is free. And it is over and above your online share trading fee. Serena can't deduct expenses from interest. That's what I think. I think SARS is going to say, "Huh, you received, and therefore I want Standard Bank to do it." Now I don't know how they manage it because, to your point, I've received the interest. The fact that there's a fee on it, and that then starts getting me thinking about a whole bunch of things. Shiraz, explain an ETN and how do you trade it? So an ETN, you would trade exactly like anything else. Here is SBA Oil, which is an ETN. It tracks the West Texas Intermediate. It's issued by Standard Bank, and it is a ETN. What you would trade it as per normal. So in this case, I can't trade it in a warrant account. I would have to trade it in an equity account, and I would just click my trade button, and there it is. And now I can trade it. I can buy and sell as I want. So you trade it as you would a normal ETF or an equity. The difference between an ETN and an ETF. So an ETF holds a basket of shares that track a underlying methodology, an index basically. And the ETF physically holds those shares. So if the ETF issuer, Satrix or whoever, gets into trouble, those shares sit in a special purpose vehicle, and you will ultimately get your net asset value. It might be messy, it might take some time, but your risk is price of the underlying shares, not the financial institution offering them. An ETN, however, is different. An ETN doesn't physically hold the shares. So in essence, it's a credit note. So in this case here, with the Standard Bank Oil ETN, if Standard Bank were to go bankrupt, you would join the queue of people to whom Standard Bank owed money. And you would be quite far down that queue, in terms of SARS as first and then preferred lenders, and so it goes down, subordinated debt, and right at the end is equity shareholders, and you'd be ahead of them, but you would be down on that queue. Now, firstly, the first question you ask yourself is likelihood of the issuing institution actually going bankrupt. And I think the only that we have left, I think Deutsche Bank's ETNs are gone. Let's go to instruments, exchange traded notes. So there's some from Investec, there's some from ABSA, there's a whole bunch from Standard Bank, and then a whole bunch from UBS, Investec, etc. So you've got to make that call if you think that financial institution may or may not. There's also a practical reason why an ETN and not an ETF, and it's not to try and reduce liability, because in truth, it increases liability to the issuer. But for example, oil, an ETF storing shares is easy, right? Because they're done electronically. Storing gold is fairly easy because an ounce of gold is what's an ounce of gold these days? 30,000, and it sits in the palm of your hand. So it's cheap and easy to store. However, if you look at a barrel of West Texas Intermediate oil, that's difficult to store. It's expensive to store, and it decays. So there's a lot to be said. A lot of the products simply, it's just not practical to do an ETF, hence they do an ETN. Hamish, can you open a USD trading account with Standard Bank? You can, Hamish, but it is WebTrader, and let me see if I can remember standardbank.co.za. There it is. So webtrader.standardbank.com will take you to their USD trading platform. It is separate. It is a pure offshore platform. You take your money offshore. It goes into US dollars. It is the real McCoy. They will pull your FICA from your OST account, so you won't need to re-FICA, but you can have a pure offshore trading account. It includes equities, of course, also includes CFD and FX pairs. Andres, good question. How do you get your Viewpoint username and password if you want to use Viewpoint on the iPad app? You're going to have to, your username, it's not, because it's not your login username. That I do know. You're going to have to contact the support for them, drop them an email on that. I don't know if it works on iPad. I have heard reports from people who have tried and says it doesn't. I've got a new iPad. I've on a very, very old iPad. So I'm not even on, I think I'm still on OS 12 or maybe 11. My new one actually is due today. I will try it at that point. Drop me a mail, simon@justonelap.com. and I will find out how we can get that. Yeah, William, claim the fee of interest expense on the other deductions on the income tax return. Okay, that does make sense. So I just go and basically claim it as an other deduction and take that 1% fee out. Oh, Andre says an Iris app. I got you. Oh, that is deeply cunning. I hadn't even thought of that. To be perfectly honest, I don't know. So it's the same company, make no bones about that. But I know they have a special relationship with Standard Bank, certainly in terms of the price that we pay. We pay a significantly discounted price. Andre, I'm going to have to find out. I hadn't actually even thought about the Iris app. Ooh, that would be truly excellent if we could log, if that works. Richard, coming back to your question, trailing stop loss procedure, let's go through that again. So let's put a trailing stop. You can do trailing or fixed. Let's go through both of them. I forgot, I didn't see what share I picked. That's not important in this part of the process. So the fixed stop, you select stop loss, you select fixed, you pop along. The difference with fixed is that you say, if it falls to this price, I'm sitting on Advotech. If it falls to this price, please sell my Advotech shares. And it's nice and simple. And you would put the price in, and let's say we say, sure, if it falls to R4.74, please sell. It then says, what limit price do you want to send to market? You trigger at 474, but they will send you at 474, but the buyers might be a little bit lower. So you say, send me a limit price of 464. If there's a better price in the market, you will get the better price in the market. That just increases the likelihood that you will get out. And then it's your percentage. Do you want to sell 100% or a percentage? Or do you want to sell a certain quantity, maybe only 538 of them? So that's how you would do a fixed. Trailing stop, same page, same stop loss, you just pick trailing. And here your question is different. You're not saying what price do you want to trigger the stop loss at. Basically, you're saying how much do you want to trail below the high. So from the moment you place that stop loss, as the share is moving higher, that stop loss will move up behind it by whatever you defined. And you could say, you know what, make it 12%, or you could say make it a Rand 46, whichever you want. You can only do one. It is an either or. So you have to pick one or the other. And let's say this, and let me pick an amount where the math is simpler, make it a R1 stop. The share goes to R8, your stop is now 7. The share goes to R9, your stop is now 8. The share goes to R12, your stop is now 11, and so on. And then the share goes to R12, your stop loss is R1 below that, R11, and it then falls by that R1 and hits 11, and your stop loss will trigger. What you get here is the question of how much would you like to trigger decrease the trigger amount by. And the reason for this and what the logic behind it is let's say it's gone to R12, your stop loss is now 11. It then falls and trades at 11 Rand. They will send an order to market at 11. But maybe it was falling quickly and it's actually now trading at 10 Rand 80. So you say you can exceed by 50 cents. So when it triggers at 11, they will send an order to market at 10 Rand 50. And if there's a better price, always, when you submit an order, so the JSE works on a time price equation. If there's a better order in the market before you, sorry, a better price, you will get it. So if you say, I want to sell a share at 10 Rand 50, but there's a buyer at any price above 10 Rand 50, you will get that price, assuming there's sufficient volume. So if there's a buyer, if you say I want to sell at 10 Rand 50, and there's a buyer at, I don't know, 14 Rand. If the volume is enough, you will trade at 14 Rand. You will get the better price. And that's the JSE. So the JSE ranks you by price and time. And you know, if you come in and there's a better price than what you're asking, you get that better price. Cool. Andres, the question, how do I open an additional account? So if you're looking for an extra equity account, let's do the others first. So under my account, product registration. So if you want to open a new product account, warrants, futures, CFD, option trading strategy, or a tax-free. You go to my account, product registration, and you pick what you're looking for. Warrant account is just a normal account, but you pay a flat 50 Rand per warrant trade, regardless of size. Futures is for single stock futures, index futures, commodity futures, and currency futures. CFD account is for contract for difference, option strategy, and then, of course, a tax-free. You simply say, what do you want to do? You've got two options. You can convert one of your existing accounts into whatever that new account is, or you can say, open a new account for that warrant and share installing. And then in this case, if you've already got warrants and share installments, you can request that they get moved across. This process will happen overnight. It needs to be, because it'll be a separate BDA account at the JSE. And then when you log in to your home page, you will still have only one login, but you will see that drop down, which I have here with the various different accounts. If you want to have another bog standard equity account, you can do that, but you're going to have to contact online share trading. You'll also see in my drop down, I've got accounts for my sister and wife, and I don't know that OST still offers that. I know that they want to charge separately for those accounts, but there's issues in terms of my power of attorney or one's power of attorney. So you can open for the different trading products. If you just want another equity account, question coming through. Why would you want two equity accounts? Different strategies. You know, if you've got a long-term death to our spot portfolio, throw all of that in the one account. You've got a shorter-term trading, but still just vanilla equity trading, throw that into a separate account. Keeps your methodologies nice and clean, keeps your tax returns nice and clean at the same time. Question, where do you find your tax information? Under my account. Report. I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. No, that's just for my tax-free investment contribution port. Nope, I wanted more than that. Statements. There we go. Statements, tax statements, and provisional tax statements, and monthly tax statements. There we go. There's all your various different. You've got the guideline document from 2016, issued by SARS, and then updated a couple of times, and then your IT3Bs and your profit and losses, which I think is an IT3C. I'm not the expert here, but you can find those sitting there as well. What we don't, so we've got for 2019, the 2020, which would have been to end February, should be up shortly. I know that some people are struggling, some of the institutions, because of lockdown, to get those reports out, but they usually come around about this time of the year, and I don't know if OST will have delays on that. I simply aren't sure at all. No idea. Ladies and gents, I'm not seeing any more questions come through, so we can park that there. Andres, when you log on to OST iPad or iPhone app, it kicks me out of Viewpoint on the computer. Yes, it does. And that is quite simply because so Viewpoint is giving you, the trick is you are getting live prices from the JSE, and the JSE doesn't want that in multiple places because you charge per user. And so they are saying, nope, one user, one login. So you always get kicked out on the one. And, you know, like if I get 22/7 to scrape my account every month, and it kicked me out of everything when that happens. That is a design, I wanted to say feature. I suppose it depends. It's a design feature or flaw, depending which side of the fence that you are sitting on. Yolandi, you want to see a trading account on Viewpoint. So the particular tab that you're looking at is going to be, you pull up the portfolio tab. What it does is it shows me here, up in the top line there, it tells me below down here what I'm holding, what the price is, what the bid offer, the cost value, and the P&L at this point, profit or loss. This is my crash point. It is a loss. And then at the top, it shows you your cash scenario, etc., and where the cash is sitting and how much it is, etc. And you can pull that in then for across different accounts that you have. So, for example, there's one of my niece's accounts, and that then sits there and you can go and view the portfolio details. The session will be on YouTube, depending on processing time, in a couple of hours, but certainly in the next 2 or 3 hours at the latest. Sure, I'll send you. You can find. I'm on. You want to connect in LinkedIn? Sure. Go to my vanity website, simonbrown.co.za. You'll find my LinkedIn name. I don't know what my LinkedIn. I mean, my name on LinkedIn is Simon Brown, but there's probably millions of Simon Browns. Go to simonbrown.co.za and you'll find it all from there. Ladies and gents, we'll park it there. Everyone have a great day further. Stay safe and cheers all.